Hello, everyone. Welcome to, I think, if I'm correct, the first stream for Fellowship of Fans this year in 2025. Maybe we had a couple, but my memory's a little foggy right now. Um, but yeah, we're excited to get things rolling this year. And with me, I have, as always, Strider. How are you doing, Strider?
Hey man, yeah, I'm right. I went home for a little bit, and so I'm having a nice time here. And yeah, I think you are correct. I think this is the first proper live stream. I don't think we did any before this year. So yeah, I think it's a big one. Starting the season a bit late this time.
Yeah, so appreciate having you here as always. And if anyone just tuning in, Strider and I have done a couple of live streams together now on different IPs like the Penguin, House of the Dragon, all that stuff. So if you're interested in any of those, check them out.
Dune.
Dune, yes, Dune Prophecy. Highly recommend that show. I have a feeling that one will have a good season two to look forward to. So yeah, and so that was Strider, and the Mary to my Pippin. We have Omo here.
Yeah,
How you
I
doing,
don't know
Omo?
about the Married to the Pippin, but I think there's a bit of a gap between me and you, but I'll allow it.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. I hope everyone has been doing well as well.
I hope the seas are treating you well today. Just don't have some rough waters for us on the
It's pretty
stream.
calm, pretty calm.
Calm waters, great. And we have Harry on the back end, so we appreciate Harry for helping us out with the tech here and getting all the images up. So I appreciate Harry. And oh, it's great seeing some familiar faces. We have Storyteller in the chat. Great seeing him. It's been a while. Um, and yeah, so without further ado, we'll jump into some introductory topics. And I see was that Jamito Frog? We're going to talk about this Lego set in a second because huge Lego set nerd over here. But we wanted to first address the low activity. So, Fellowship of Fans, we kind of took a little break after Rings of Power and War of the Rohirrim died down. So we had a little break internally, but we've been planning in the meantime. So we have a lot of stuff.
We've been
We've been
cooking.
cooking, as the kids say. Let us cook. So one thing we have in the works right now is a podcast. I believe the first episode is going to be recorded next week. I believe Varking Strider is involved in that, and what we're looking to do there is branch out into different IPs and cover those as well as Lord of the Rings as Lord of the Rings stuff comes up or Middle Earth stuff comes up. So I believe, I don't know if Strider, if you have any info on it, but I know we were taking polls in our Discord of what we were going to call the thing. It looks like Council of Fans got voted the highest, so I guess we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think we will be. I think we will basically be doing kind of a double thing. We haven't not settled on it yet completely, but I think we will go with Council of Fans for the Lord of the Rings related stuff, and then we will do Fellowship of Fandoms or Fofcast. That's kind of like that might be end up being the nickname for it for other IPs. Because yeah, we are mainly Tolkien based channel for sure, and it will forever stay like that. But yeah, we will be tuning into all these other things, and yeah, we'll kind of have like a double gig going on.
awesome. And I see Sauron the Dark Lord is in the chat, so I'll give him a special shout out. I'm actually wearing a shirt that says Sauron, so he is here, and I'm repping him. So glad he could take out of his busy schedule of tending to Mordor to be here. But yeah, so we got the Fofcast and Council of Fans coming, and we look forward to talking about. I believe we're thinking about exploring like all the nerdy fandoms, like Star Wars, Marvel. We're trying to figure out which areas we want to go to, but we're definitely going to explore them, much like we did with YouTube last year with Dune and all that, House of the Dragons. So look forward to that.
Oh yeah.
Another.
Yeah, I think we'll go like Star Wars, Wheel of Time that's coming up in a couple of days. We'll tune into that. We'll do some DC and Marvel stuff. We'll try to focus on the things we find fun for us, not the things. Not we will not be trying to like cover every Marvel thing, whatever. No, like we'll see like if there's something that we really like. So, for example, Daredevil show is coming out at the moment, so we'll probably talk about that at some point, and yeah, we'll get back to Wheel of Time and we'll do things like that. So yeah, a lot of nerdy stuff, but we'll see how it rolls. And of course, like Westeros, so the Song of Ice and Fire, this world as well will be probably heavily featured. We'll probably be covering all of those things, and yeah, we'll see. It's going to be like an open-ended, nerdy podcast.
Can't wait. And with the new endeavors, that also means we're looking to expand. So we actually are going to be recruiting different positions. I'm not sure if we tweeted that out in the past yet or not, but there's a handful of positions we're going to be looking to fill. So if anyone in the community has interests in joining the team, we'll be posting stuff about that shortly as well. I think in the Discord we may have at some point as well. But there'll be different roles we're trying to get filled this coming year. So look out for that. Yeah. So, I see some other familiar faces in here. Mickey Mouse, it's been a while, so it's great to see you in here as well. Yeah. So we'll jump into our first topic, which is new products. Now, I kind of alluded to it. I'm a Lego nerd, so I'll zoom in my camera real quick. You can kind of see in the background there, I have the Rivendell set and the original Bag End set. It's kind of at the bottom of my camera there. And it looks like this set's going to be a little bit bigger than it. And the rumor is it's going to go live in early April. I believe what happened was there's promotional material. Yeah, it's breaking news. I'm a nerd. That is for sure. There was some promotional material emailed out by Lego, and they leaked that there was going to be an event for the creator of this Lego set to do a signing for this Lego set. And I think that was April 5th, if I remember right. And they're tracking this set to rumors right now. We don't have specifics, but I think they're saying the price point for this is going to be in the $200 to $300 range, which is a little bit easier to stomach than the Rivendell and Sauron or Barad-dûr set. Those were pretty hefty and painful on the wallet, but it'd be nice to have a more affordable or relatively affordable set in comparison to those. So looking forward to that. And I think there's rumors of other sets coming out this year, so I guess stay tuned for those. So for anyone that's a Lego nerd, look forward to this. And the other product, real quick, if we have any book nerds in the community right now, I happen to be an American that collects the UK versions of the Tolkien books, which is kind of has a matte illustrated finish to them. And any Americans in here may remember that this book set came out maybe a couple years ago. It was called the Great Tales book set, and the heights of the books didn't match the UK editions. So if you're collecting these books, you're like, oh man, these things don't really go uniform with the rest of the book set. So apparently, they're going to be re-releasing the Great Tales with this illustration box set, which is pretty nice. It looks like there's a picture of I think that's Glaurung and Turin on there, which beautiful artwork. So yeah, for anyone that collects the HarperCollins versions, they will be releasing this as HarperCollins, and I forget the American publisher. It's like it begins with a W, I believe, but they'll be releasing this in both by both publishers, so you can get it in America or the UK HarperCollins version. So this, I didn't see a date for when this is coming out, but I'm assuming it's later this year. So for the book nerds, can't wait for this. And I believe another set coming out, which I don't know if we have photos for, but just a quick mention. They're releasing a box set of I think they're calling it the Tolkien scholarly works. So his books on myths and stuff outside of the Middle Earth realm, they're going to have their own box set as well. So yeah, for the book nerds, I'm looking forward to it. I have the HarperCollins set here, and I think this will complete the set for me. So pretty excited. Anyone on the panel excited for these? Do you guys collect these versions, or do you have a favorite version of the books that you collect?
I mean, I cannot have books, with water and all that stuff, but I'm sure they're really good. I'm sure they're really good.
We need the waterproof set.
Yeah, when is that coming out?
Yeah, where's the inclusion for the amphibious people? I have a bunch of my own books, but I'm not, as of yet, in the business of like making these collections with like specific publishing companies and so on. But yeah, hopefully one day I hope to get to that. I'm just, yeah, not at the moment. I have like, I don't know, I have like 20 Tolkien books, and they're like from 15 different publishers or something like that, something ridiculous. So they all look like completely off brand to each other, like all the different wrong proportions and so on. Like it's chaos. But yeah, I think that has a beauty of its own.
Yeah.
Like, how many different ones can I get that are like completely disorderly?
Yeah, it does kind of look better. Yeah, both options look great. You can either have the mix and match, find your best versions, or you try to have the uniform versions. And I can say the uniforms versions can be painful just to find all of them. And oh, yeah, that's a good point. Omo's reading the ebooks with the Kindle.
Exactly, that's what I do.
Nice. Yeah, so those were the products that kind of caught my eye. There's other stuff out there, like I guess there's like things called woobles, which are either crochet or knitting kits that came out recently too for people that like that. I saw the price; it was like, oh god, I can't afford that, or I shouldn't afford that because I prioritize Lego sets. Shows my priorities there, but yeah, I guess the wooble sets, some of the collector's kits were like over $100, and I was like, whoa, those are expensive. But yeah, those are out as well. So Lego set, really excited. And I think without further ado, we'll jump into kind of the main talking point for today. So this is kind of like the big news that some of you may have noticed. We tweeted out, other content creators tweeted out, but the casting for season 3 of Rings of Power. So yeah, here's the article. So the big news that we received this year is that Jamie Campbell Bower and Eddie Marsan were cast for season 3. And if I remember correctly, Jamie Campbell Bower, based on this article, it said that he would be a main cast member and Eddie Marsan would be a recurring character. So that kind of gives you a little bit of hints of where they're going to be. Yep. So he's going to be Bauer's going to be a series regular, and Marsan will appear as a recurring role. So before we jump into kind of I guess the biggest news of this, let's move it over to Strider first. And what are your theories? Just off this article alone, who do you think Bauer will play? Who do you think Marsan will play?
Well, Bauer definitely looks like he could easily be an elf, and yeah, this could be Celeborn. This could be Celeborn that we're looking at, because he's a pretty big get for the show. Like he's done some big stuff recently, especially in Stranger Things. But he has been out there for a long time. Like, I remember watching him in 2014 in a show called Camelot. I had only one season, but it had like a pretty solid cast with like Eva Green and Joseph Fiennes and so on, and he played young King Arthur at the time, and yeah, he definitely looks like someone who could be the next Celeborn. I think he's about a similar age as Morpeth Clark, so that would fit as well. And I think he definitely has the looks. Slap on a silver-haired wig, and there we go. So yeah, I think he could be well. He could be either Celeborn or he could be a Glorfindel. So, which is I don't know. I know we're gonna get Celeborn at some point, so I'm hoping that this might be Glorfindel because I really need Glorfindel in the show. But yeah, it's one of those two. It must be. I mean, unless it's one of those weird ones where what they did in season one, where they had a couple of really good names for the really good actors who played, who had like maybe 10 minutes of screen time total, and then it's like, what are you doing? So like Simon Merles, I remember he had like a couple. He was that Elvish commander that gets Boromired in season one, and yeah. But I think if it says here that he's going to be a regular, then it really means it's a strong likelihood that he will be either Celeborn, which is probably the likeliest one, or maybe Glorfindel.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat there, but I'll jump to Omo. Do you have any differing opinions or other theories?
Yeah, I mean, Celeborn for Bauer makes a lot of sense. Um, I think that's I saw somewhere that someone was speculating that's I think it's Marsan, right? The other one. Um,
Yep.
Mm.
I think that he would be a very good dwarf, or even Durin's brother potentially, because we still need to see all of that, and I think that would make a lot of sense. Um, he has that like dwarvish traits on him. I mean, if I have to guess, I would either say a dwarf or a sleazy man, like one of those. Like he's not a kind person. I'm not saying personally. I'm just saying like the way that he looks. So yeah, that's what I was thinking. Also, I want to mention something because I see that Tar TNT King of Men just mentioned it in chat. The whole Witch King thing uh, is not the case, because I know that there's been like a lot of speculations online where people were talking about um, Campbell playing the Witch King because he had Witch King in his profile and as a bio. But well, first of all, he's not allowed to already mention the character that he's playing if he's under a pseudonym. So that would be like him breaking an NDA, which is literally game ender in that business. But secondly, if I remember correctly, apparently that has his bio for like a few years or at least months, because I don't know if he released a song or something along those lines or whatever, but it has nothing to do with him actually playing a Witch King. So yeah, I plus regardless, even if it were the case that he's playing a Witch King, he wouldn't like screaming it on top of his lungs. Like the actor that plays. Well, now we know that he's Gandalf, but the actor that plays Gandalf isn't going to put on his profile picture, on his profile bio, the very first season. Yo guys, I'm playing Gandalf. What's up, guys? That's not how it works. So yeah, just want to put that
It'd
out
be
there.
good. That'd be good Jedi mind tricks, though. If just hide in plain sight and just
Yeah,
literally
yeah,
say,
yeah. I
"I'm the
agree,
Witch
but
King."
I agree. But you can't do that. That's not how it works, sadly.
And to comment on his haircut in the Stranger Things, at least, he kind of has a similar haircut right there to Elrond and our beloved R.I.P. Celebrimbor.
Yeah,
So
I just want to jump in there also and just agree. I think my instant thought as well was for Mr. Marsden that he's going to be a dwarf. Like I feel like actually he reminds me kind of Balin. Like specifically when I think of him as a dwarf, he kind of looks like to me as Balin looks in the movies. Um, so I think that's quite possible. And I just want to say also like to like if I had to make a bet, that would be it. But I also just want to mention a couple of comments in the chat. The crawling chaos. Cheers to you, and thank you very much for the Martian reference. This was one of the best movie theater surprises I've ever had. that scene and the fact that it's Sean Bean in it, and he explains that they're representing the Council of Elrond. It was just a beautiful moment in a very good movie. So yeah, cheers to you, man.
Yeah, that was a great surprise, and I highly recommend that movie. It's a great.
Oh, it's
So
fantastic.
good. Oh, we have a chat here. Yeah, you're probably right. Is the Highborn Knight Jamie's character? Oh, what a perfect segue, TNT.
Yeah, thank you.
Perfect segue. So that is our breaking news that we wanted to discuss today. Is we we believe that the Arlan character is directly related to Jamie Campbell Bower. So the code name or the description for that was a highborn knight. So I can say, at least me personally, when the Arlan and highborn knight aspect leaked to us, my mind went to Anarion because I was thinking of you know, Isildur's brother and all that, but connecting Arlan to Jamie Campbell Bower now, it, it it leads me to think more of Celeborn as well. He looks like an elf, like Strider was saying, and yeah, that brings up a lot. Like we were discussing internally too for casting. Could the knight be a code word going forward for elf? Which, internally, if you want to have different codes, you could say highborn knight, and everyone's gonna, like me, or at least I was like, oh, that's an Arion because human. But if they go ahead with casting in the future of using knight as a code word, maybe we start looking at, if we see that again, think about elves and maybe Glorfindel in the future. So knowing this now, Strider and Olmo, Arlen being directly related to Jamie Bower's character, are you still feeling like it's definitely Celeborn, or does it sway you a little bit to a different character?
I mean, this especially if when we read this, like that is the biggest internal casting call for season 3, so the biggest new character for season 3. I mean, that's Celeborn. Like at this point, betting against this would be like, I don't know, betting against Legolas not doing the weirdest stunts in the whole room. Like it's just a thing that's gonna happen, or Pippin thinking about food. So yeah, I think this is our Celeborn, pretty much, and he looks very, yeah, as Chronic says, he looks very elf-like or Sauron-esque. And actually, that's something I was going to point out as well. For me, actually, so Celeborn has had a lot of heat in the past in the fandom because this guy is the husband of Galadriel. That's his whole shtick. That's who he is, and like he doesn't do anything of importance. However, lore actually, he in the books, the man does a lot of big things. He is a very high Noldorin Sindar prince as well, very close cousin of Doriath, and he's a great warrior. He's a great commander in the books. He was one of the people leading the defense of Eregion. He's the guy who's leading the defense of Lothlorien later on, and he's the guy who leads the armies against Dol Guldur after Sauron falls, and he is the leader of the armies that conquer that place. And then Galadriel destroys the walls and so on and so on. But yeah, this man Celeborn is actually a badass. The fact that he's married to Galadriel is actually proof enough. She would not be marrying someone who's not himself a very important, very big persona as well. And the fact, so coming to this Sauron-esque comment, I feel like Jamie Campbell Bower does have a bit of an edge to him. Like if you look at this Sauron-esque vibe, like this sharp cheekbones and everything, and I feel like especially given the fact that he plays one of the most terrifying villains in the Stranger Things, I feel like he really can hit like this perfect point of like giving some badassness to Celeborn and doing some proper justice to the cool side of the character. So this must be Celeborn, and if it is so, which it must be so, I'm very excited to see this portrayal because, yeah, Celeborn deserves some love. Though I'll be very annoyed if they give him Glorfindel's background, a backstory. I'm gonna be so pissed. But yeah, let's see. So yeah, it was a little bit of a rant, but yeah, that's my take on that.
And Mickey Mouse put a really good question in the chat, which I've been trying to ponder for a while now. But he says, with those kinds, basically, you can't play anyone but Celeborn. The question is, how will they introduce him? That is the big question. If this is Celeborn and Morfydd Clark and Galadriel was season 1, basically, yeah, end of season 1, she was like, oh yeah, kind of like lost touch with him, basically. So how do you like reintroduce? Assuming they're married at this point, like did the show confirm they're married?
Yeah. They were.
Yeah, yeah. She
She
called him
says she
her
saw him.
husband. Yeah.
Yeah, she says
Oh
she
yeah,
saw him
yeah.
last in going into a battle, and that's when she saw him last. So she doesn't say she thinks he's dead necessarily, but it's kind of hinted that she thinks he might be dead, but he's definitely gone. But they were, yeah, she says that they were together in the past, and for sure they must be married by now.
I think one thing that could make sense then, if you like, I know Tolkien was against allegory and all that, but like World War II, you think about like soldiers that went away and the difficulty of war and it coming back years later for something that was only planned to be like a couple months. I guess in elf terms, it could be a couple years, decades, etc. For their timeline. But I guess that could be a good way to reintroduce him. Like if she thought he was lost in battle, maybe they come upon an elven troop of some kind, like an entire army that was lost or was out battling somewhere, and somehow Morfydd Clark gets reconnected with them, and that's how they reconnect. I could see that. So we need some kind of motivation of maybe there's a battle with Sauron again, or the orcs somewhere, and that's where they get reunited. Anyone have any other theories of how they could be reunited?
I mean, it's a difficult thing to just predict because they have a Palantir, right? They can do and see whatever they want to see and do. So it could be a million different things. It could be like him being tortured for all we know, or maybe he's been lost, or maybe, I mean, they could go down the route of him like having some sort of memory loss, or like after getting tortured and being like pushed away, like in Sons of Hurin, they've done that there too. So yeah, it's up. It's yeah, it's not up to us to decide really. It can be anything. So guessing is not going to help.
Yeah, that's fair. It looks like Harry pulled up the. I remember this Comic-Con panel where Patrick McKay confirmed that Glorfindel can show up in the show, and Celeborn will be coming at some point too. So we basically have confirmation of both characters coming.
Although I do wonder how Glorfindel is gonna get into the mix of the story.
Actually, I had one. I don't think I thought of this. I think I read it somewhere, but it's been quite a while now. So I don't know. Could be either one. One option that I think someone said, maybe even on our within our Fellowship of Fans team, that they might even, given the liberty they've taken with some of these things, especially with Celeborn not being around with Galadriel this whole time, which is wild. I mean, they had their times apart, but still, this is a very big change to their personal story. So the option that he actually comes back with Glorfindel from Valinor, I'm not sure. I don't think that would work necessarily. And it's a big question when Glorfindel will show up. And actually, Boo Beep now it says in the chat, actually, good point. Doesn't Glorfindel come after the One Ring is created? I think that is the case in at least one of the versions of the story. So yeah, he could maybe show up later on. But I don't know. I heard this theory that they could maybe come together. But I think this is this is the question at this point that I'm most curious about. Like, where the hell is Celeborn? Like, it's been ages. Like, Galadriel has been all over Middle Earth. It's been hundreds of years probably since they last saw each other. Like, where is he? So they better give us a good proper answer on this question, and not just like having show up and like, hey, yo. So yeah,
He was
Otaku Senpai.
swimming.
That's the theory I was thinking about as well.
Maybe Celeborn was just swimming in a different part of the Sundering Seas.
Listen. Don't associate me with that. I have nothing to do with that. Okay, like stop. But on a serious note, the whole part about guessing the timelines and like, isn't it before, after? I think we should all just like consciously throw it out of the window because timelines do not exist in a biblical sense in the show for many reasons. You know, like the mortal men otherwise would have been dead long time ago. So it's obvious that they're compressing absolutely everything in the show, and we have to take that into account. So it could be that some things are going to happen sooner or later, or they're going to intertwine. So please just keep that all in mind, because otherwise, if we would have to follow the lore and follow the ages and follow the time that passes in between, every mortal man that you see on screen in season 2 is already dead. That's what I mean.
Hmm.
Especially since we know that there's going to be a time skip, right? So that's what I mean.
Yeah, who knows?
Mickey Mouse brings up a good point too. Like they already used the memory lost, held in captivity. Who would be holding him? Yeah, and then coming back with Glorfindel, that'd be taking away like a pivotal moment for at least one of the main characters. So it'd be good to kind of split those out. And yeah, I guess to organize the chat a bit, we'll talk. I have a couple points about Jamie Campbell Bower. Then we'll go back to Marsan real quick, and then we'll talk about some season 3 series. So a couple points for Jamie Campbell Bower that I want to make. So it seems like a lot of us are saying Celeborn, so I'll be devil's advocate for a second, and I am kind of feeling like it's Celeborn too. But for devil's advocate's sake, let's say he is the Witch King, right? Let's just say that for a second. It seems unlikely, but Highborn Knight, I could see, the Witch King being a Highborn Knight corrupted. Um, Jamie Campbell Bower playing his character in Stranger Things as Vecna, just being like super dark and scary, and being such a friendly like doctor, um, as like I don't doctor or equivalent nurse or whatever he was. Um, he was very friendly as that character. So you could see him having a story arc where he starts off as a noble, knight, and slowly gets corrupted and turns into something like Vecna, aka the Witch King. So I could see that, but yeah, it looks like Boo Beep's making a great point here. Has been saying multiple times he doesn't want to play a villain after Vecna. So this would be a good way to break him from being typecasted as a villain. So that's a great point.
I
So
don't see the villain parts being a possibility. I really don't. They
yeah,
already have enough villains in the story as it is. I mean, they have Sauron, and then I guess that's Durin's dwarf is gonna be somewhat of an antagonist in the show. I mean, I'm not gonna say that he's a villain by the biblical sense. I'm just saying that he's not gonna be proactively trying to be nice to his brother and to the rest of the people or dwarves. So yeah, just I don't know. It doesn't make sense to make him a villain on top of that as well, because there's already like more than enough in the show as it is. So yeah.
I love Queen's theory there of Theo becoming the Witch King. I think that would be like one of the most tragic character arcs ever. So I agree there. Um, Yeah. So another thing on Jamie Campbell Bower, that figure I mentioned, anyone that's a fan of like metal or alternative music, Jamie Campbell Bower actually released a cover of the band Sleep Token recently, and it's actually a pretty powerful cover. It's really good actually. So if anyone's into Sleep Token or the metal community, highly check it out. It's very talented singing. So and that could be another point towards Celeborn because elves are known for their song and singing. So maybe we'll get some Celeborn songs in season 3 if Jamie Campbell Bower's him. All right, cool. I guess we can talk briefly about Marsan because we kind of brushed over him for a second. Oh, that's a good promo shot of Jamie Campbell Bower there. For Marsan, it sounds like Omo you mentioned could be a dwarf or a corrupted person.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Strider? I forgot if you mentioned yours yet.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Who do you think Marsan's going to play?
Oh. Is it Marsan or Marsden?
Oh,
I'm not sure. But yeah, I think so. Just a second. Okay, so I'm getting here some notes from our friend in the back end of the stream. So his character, Marsan's brother, has a character. His character has a brother, according to Deadline. So yeah, I think this fits. This was my first theory when we shared it. When we learned of this, I was thinking like instantly, okay, this guy's a dwarf. As that, he reminds me of Balin super hard. Like if I imagine him as a dwarf, and we had a huge, not even a hint, like they straight up told us, okay, there's going to be a political conflict in the Dwarven Kingdom of some kind, and they mentioned Durin's brother, so on and so on. So I feel like Mr. So is it Marsan or Marsden? Again, I'm once again asking for the confirmation.
I'll double check.
Anyway, he does have a tendency to play antagonists. So I feel like and especially now based on what Harry told us, it seems really likely that he is indeed Durin's brother.
It just makes sense. Like it ticks all the boxes,
So,
in my opinion. So.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm looking forward
as well, right? So.
I'm looking forward to it.
I feel like after seeing some of, so it is Eddie Marsan. At least that's what the article says.
Thanks.
Seeing some of his previous work, I think it'd be hilarious to see the banter that him and Durin the Fourth could come up with. So yeah, I would love if he's the brother of Durin, for sure. Cool. All right. I think we have a couple of topics prepared, but we'll kind of see where things land. But the next, so we talked about Jamie Campbell Bower's, how he's connected to the Arlan casting call. So I think it's only appropriate now. We briefly touched upon him, but going into Rings of Power Season 3 theories. So one of the biggest piece of news we got so far is that there's a time jump. So does anyone, like Strider, you want to jump in of like, how do you think that time jump's going to impact the beginning of Season 3? Like, you have theories of where they might start, what might already have been accomplished during the time jump, etc.
Honestly, that the way the season ended, I was kind of surprised because, well, there's one specific storyline that absolutely makes sense to have a time skip, which is the building of Rivendell. However, the other, I mean, I don't know, maybe okay, I'll try to like brainstorm like right on the spot. So, okay, Rivendell is being built. It might already be elves might already be in war with Sauron. So like there's this war of elves and Sauron in Eriador. Canon-wise, it happens after the sack of Eregion, so we could open with this. In Khazad-dûm, we could have a civil war, perhaps. Maybe they will open right away with that. And then I don't know, like the big questions are, especially in the east with Gandalf, what is happening there? Because there's obviously going to be a conflict, but I have no idea where the story is going because it's completely, the show's invention. But I feel like the one storyline that kind of doesn't work with the time jump for me is the fact that Isildur is going, he was going back to Numenor. So I'm kind of curious what happens. And like Elendil just escaped the capital. So what, like, I feel like there's a lot of important things that are going to happen in Numenor, like right now, like right after the season ended, in the first couple of days and weeks. There's going to be some huge things happening. So I don't know. I wonder what's the time skip going to look like there. But I think it's a good idea. I think overall, I've been saying it like from the moment this show started, it needs time jumps for sure. And yeah, I think this is overall really good news, especially later on between season 4 and 5. I think especially we will probably need a huge time jump because at some point we will need Barad-dûr will have to be built, and this is the tallest building by far in Middle Earth, so that's going to take a while. And as well as Gondor and Arnor will have to be created at some point, and like creating a kingdom takes a while. Building Minas Tirith, building Osgiliath, building what will become Minas Morgul, building Isengard, building in Arnor, building Fornos, building Anminas, the two biggest cities there. Like there's so much stuff that needs to happen. So like time jumps, great news for the show. Not even great news. Like this is absolutely necessary. This is key for this show to even try to tell the story remotely properly. So yeah, but there's like a lot of good questions, as Mickey Mouse says in the chat. Yeah, like how would the time jump that's that significant impact other parts of Middle Earth? So Gandalf, the East, the Harfoots, Numenor, Khazad-dûm. I think Harfoots might go away from our screens a little bit, which might be nice, but I don't think it will happen, I guess. But yeah, Ulma, what do you think? Do you have any theories about how the
Yeah,
time skip will
I wanna
impact
play devil's
anything?
advocate for a second because you were mentioning like building places takes time, and I agree. I 100% agree with that. But at the same time, we've seen in season between season 1 and season 2 that they've built things in a matter of seasons, right? Like the tower that they made the forgery in. It's just briefly mentioned in one of the episodes in season 1, and then we see it built in season 2. So I guess that they're gonna use it, but they're not gonna overuse it to the extent of being like, oh, we're gonna do a, I don't know, 5 year time skip or whatever, and then like all of a sudden you have Minas Tirith, Minas Morgul, and all the things built like it's a Lego box. So I highly doubt that's gonna happen. Um, I would still prefer to see some of Rivendell being built, sorry, or at least like part of the process of it, because
Mm,
it would lose kind of value of being like, oh, I'm gonna build a place, a sanctuary here, and then all of a sudden, here we go, it's done. It loses value the same way that if you would start watching Lord of the Rings and then like after 30 minutes they're already at Mount Doom, like it wouldn't make sense. Um, so yeah,
yeah,
that's kind of how I see it. I don't mind, like I said, I don't mind the time skip, and like you mentioned, it has to happen. It has to happen just for the sake of it, but it has to happen in minor ways because if they have like, I don't know, three time skips, like let's say, or two time skips in the next 3 seasons, then there's gonna be one major problem, and the major problem is that Theo's actor is gonna have to be changed. That's for sure. And then like there's gonna be other things that need to get taken care of as well. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, on the Rivendell front, I think it would be cool. Like a good compromise would be they have it like partially built, maybe like halfway done, and like you can see areas of
yeah.
construction. I think that would be really cool. Um,
I think that will make sense. I was gonna say I think that's like we might see it like this, like after there's a time skip, and then we open the show. Well, it's still being built, and then it's being built throughout the season. But like they already built a lot of it, but there's like still obviously a lot of development going on. I think that's probably the likely scenario. And I mean, obviously, Ulm is right. Like the importance of building Rivendell would not felt if you don't see it built.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, and it would be cool too. So it seems like every season starts with a montage or a,
It's a flashback.
prelude, flashback.
Every season started with a flashback in
mm,
some way. So yeah.
So it could be cool if they do use it as a montage for skipping forward, so you get to see different things happen between the time jump, or if they do another backstory dive. Because I don't. Personally, I love the season one montage, like the epic battle we saw briefly with multiple Balrogs and stuff in the background. Like, oh, that just kind of teases what's to come for Battle of the Last Alliance, and then the season two kind of backstory of Sauron was pretty cool to see as well.
Could it be possible that like the flashback of season 3 that they're gonna use is about Celeborn or Glorfindel in some way? Do you think that's like a possibility?
I think it would
Because
make sense
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
because yeah,
No, okay. I
yeah,
wanted to
go.
say like, because we know that either Glorfindel or Celeborn have to be added, and there's a high chance that the actor that we just mentioned is gonna be part of it. So maybe we can see how he got captured or the reason why he hasn't been in Galadriel's life for I don't know how many years, and so you can see him like struggling or whatever he has been up to, and then we see him in medias res, like in the moment itself, and then him eventually reconnecting with the Galadriel, because I feel like we've seen it in the article, but he's gonna be one of the main characters of the season and possibly of the rest of the show. So it's no small feat.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I was thinking I was going to say the same. So in the first season, it's kind of Galadriel focused. I mean, she's the narrator, and it's like Elvish focused, but it's like Galadriel is doing the narration and all of that. And then you have in the second season, it's all about Sauron. So going for, and I don't like that I'm saying this, the love triangle of swords, like or like it does make sense as the continuation because Galadriel coming back will heal Galadriel in some ways, make her feel complete and so on. So I think it would be actually a pretty good idea or it's a solid option that might happen, that he might be the center point of prologue, because we will need some explanation for it, and I guess this could be but it will also be like, how do you introduce him, like when does he show up? Do we just like, one easy way would be, ripping the band-aid off, and it's like, okay, here's the flashback, boom, Celeborn is on the screen, and we are seeing him wherever he is.
Hmm.
And okay, I guess that might be like the least painful way, because it's like, you open with this, we accept as a fact, and then we just keep going and see how he ends up with Galadriel again. But like otherwise, when do you introduce him? So I think that's a pretty good theory.
I mean, another way it could happen is that he could be introduced like at a randomly events or in a random way, and then the same way that Gandalf says in Frodo to the first in the first movie when he says I've been held back and all of that, and then you see it from his perspective and all of that what happens. So it's kind of the same but different slightly.
Mm.
Yeah, those are great points. I guess even too. So theory was it could be a Celeborn backstory at the beginning, and another theory could be it could be a dwarven backstory as well. If the Marsan character ends up being Durin's brother, then they could kind of foreshadow what's to come by showing like childhood rivalry or something, or a montage of them growing up together. So that could be another way of utilizing the season opening flashbacks, assuming that's what they do. Because I don't know, I personally like them. So if any showrunners are watching right now, we love the flashbacks.
And I just want to comment. Yeah, I completely agree with this. But I just saw a question. Kendo asks, "How tall is Mr. Bower?" He looks very short for Glorfindel. Well, he is actually about the same height as Anatar, as Charlie Wickers. He's 183, which is, I guess, about 6'2" in freedom units. So which is pretty high. He could be. I mean, it's normal height, I guess. I mean, I don't know. The heights are relative in my country. That's normal, but like it's still, it's a reasonably tall actor. I think like if you go for like, I don't know, Brad Pitt or something, like he's about the same size. So I think that's a pretty solid height, and he could easily be this fighter character, whether he's Celeborn or Glorfindel. I think it should be totally fine. Like he would not be towered over by any of the other actors. Like he would be one of the tallest in the cast. He will be one of the tallest in the cast.
It looks like Harry brought up a good reminder. So this was from Rings of Power, something they put out. Jumping forward several years from the events of season 2,
Ah,
season 3 takes place at the height of the War of the Elves and Sauron, as the Dark Lord seeks to craft the One Ring that will give him the edge he needs to win the war and conquer all Middle Earth at last. So, yeah, that's a pretty huge reveal as well. Oh, takes place at the height of the War of the Elves and Sauron.
there we go. So it will make sense. Like for example, it will make sense for Rivendell to still being built while being like So
Yeah.
especially because not necessarily being built, but being like fixed because maybe it's under siege, and there's like a lot of things to fix when you're under siege. It could be, I think that could work very well, and it will be interesting to see what's the political situation, for example, in Numenor, honestly. Or in Khazad-dûm, like also like are they in war, and then maybe his brother after a couple of years comes back and is like, hey, you've been waging war, fighting with the elves, and then he uses this like, no, we should be taking care of the dwarves. You should not be spending like the lives of our people to fight an elvish war and so on and so on. So like I guess there's potential there, but yeah. Also, hi to Priscilla.
Oh,
Glad to have you here again, one of our regulars.
great to see. And if we were to think of what's to come, right? So if we were to talk about like the major things happening in the Second Age, if I understand it correctly, Sauron has to get captured if they're to follow the lore. Sauron has to get captured, brought to Numenor, start corrupting
And cause
people,
some chaos, yeah.
cause some chaos, and then the major thing occurs. I don't know if we're in spoiler territory or
Yeah,
not, but
exactly. The
major
major
thing
thing occurs.
and then people, refugees, if you will, move to Middle Earth and create kingdoms. So that's a lot of. Well, there's that, and then there's the Battle of the Last Alliance and everything in between. So there's a lot of ground that has to be covered between season 3 to season 5. So
I'm gonna have
yeah.
my moments in season 3 or 4, that's for sure. I'm gonna have the spotlight for a bit.
Okay,
That
Harry, kick him out.
No, hey, listen, it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Yeah. So with all those major plot points mentioned, with one of them being ambiguous, that may or not be caused by Olmo. Yeah, I wonder what this impact jump on Numenor would be. So, like, is it possible that Sauron's already captured and in Numenor? Are they gonna deviate from lore and maybe he's over there already operating as a different form? Like, what do you
Hmm.
guys think on that?
You mean in season 3, the beginning?
See, well, just theory for season 3 in general. Doesn't
Um,
have to necessarily be the beginning.
if I would have to guess, I would say that's there's not gonna be an end season battle per se, because we've had it for 2 seasons, and it doesn't make sense for the battle to last for an entire season. So I would say that he gets captured um midway through the season, and then it ends. The season ends with something happening in Numenor, or you know stuff changing basically. Because I don't see, if they just skip ahead and they don't show the war, then there's no point in mentioning, oh, we're skipping at the heights of their the fight that they have going on. Might as well just skip the fight entirely and just move on and do something else instead. So that's my opinion, at least.
Hmm.
How about you, Strider?
For me, yeah, for me, well, I'll just bounce off of a couple of comments here first. So let's see. Otaku Senpai says Sauron has to establish rule over Harad and Rune. So one thing that will be, in my opinion, happening during season 3, Sauron will be going around, and I think the one thing that will be happening in Rune, the way he gets Kamul the Easterling on his side, who later becomes one of the the second in command of the ring wraiths will be Sauron will go there, give to one of these people in Rune, to whoever Campbell is, he will give him the ring as help, as aid against the Dark Wizard or whoever else put the curse on the flesh of the runic people, because this is a big thing that they mentioned in season 2, that they have this curse on them, and the Dark Wizard has a way to heal it, but he's holding it over them, whatever. So I think this will be the way he gets runes control, and I'm sure that it's going to happen season 3, or at least start happening, and then by, I don't know, season 4 or 5, it will be a thing. And I think Sauron himself will probably be moving around a lot amongst the men in Middle Earth, and then Tar TNT, or actually Crawling Chaos says like Mad Max Fury Road, constant action for an entire season. I think on the large scale, I do think we will have this for throughout the season, this war, or at least throughout most of it. Like we could see some settlements fall, we could maybe see a battle or two, like smaller battles of some kind, like quote unquote small battles, and then I think during season 3 end or beginning will probably be when Sauron gets captured and taken to Numenor, because he has to make the ring first, and that's going to be a big thing, and this is going to be the biggest overall thing probably happening season 3, is having the One Ring made, and that's gonna take a while. Like it will probably be towards in the second half of the season or so, or at the very end. So I guess that makes sense in this case. And then the big question is like, what's happening in Numenor, which is like, I don't know. Farazan has consolidated his power. That was a huge discussion on our public Discord the other day, actually, about, because in the lore, well, there's some sort of an alliance, let's put it like that, that's made, or not alliance, but there's something between Miriel and Farazan, and whether the show will go through with that or not. But Farazan, I mean, it could be that there's like a proper full-on civil war, or like at least a lot of tensions between the faithful and the Kingsmen in Numenor. I think that's kind of where it will pick up, and then I guess we'll have to see how it will further on develop. But I don't know, like, do you should we usually keep asking questions. Well, let's hear something from you. Like, do you have any theories on what's going to be happening in Numenor? Like when we pick up the season, and then maybe what's happening throughout the season.
Yeah, I've been thinking on this for a while, and the time jump it's tricky because you do have the different races and the longevity of each race. But yeah, my guess is if there's a time jump, there's probably going to be escalation of strife within Numenor. So where we saw like they're taking our jobs with the elves and all that, like I think there's going to be.
Let's not speak of that.
I think there's going to be
Thank you.
a heightened level of strife already visible, and maybe because we did see the uh, oh man, I'm drawing a blank. We've been off for a couple months, but the not the Kingsmen, but the enlightened. What's the faithful?
The faith.
Yeah, the faithful. There we go. Their kind of prayer area, their church or sacred area was raided, and we had a couple of deaths there. So we already got to see a bit of that conflict, and my guess is we're going to open the season with a lot more chaos at Numenor. So we're probably going to see that. Elendil, he was kind of banished, right? So where could he be? Maybe Elendil goes to find his other son, Anarion.
Yeah, I think he was basically headed to the west where his son Anarion is. I think that's exactly where he will be.
So that makes sense. And then maybe he's like building an army or building something over there with the faithful. I could see that. But yeah, and then where it's going, I hope this season we get Sauron in Numenor and his influence start to happen. So seeing him captured, head over there, start to influence, and I, me personally, as much as I want to see it ASAP, the big event of the Second Age, I would love if it occurs at a random episode. Like, don't have it as a season finale. Don't have it as the opening. Put it at like season two or episode 2 or 3. Have it come out of nowhere. Promotional materials. Don't mention it. Just surprise everyone. I think that'd be really cool to see. So, if I had to guess, that event is most likely looking like early season 4 to me.
Wait, you're talking
Uh,
about the one I'm thinking?
Yeah, the one that you have a big part to play
Yeah.
in.
I
Uh,
would like to mention something that someone wrote in chat. Hesimovic or Hechimovic. Sorry if I'm sorry if I'm
Hitchimovic, yeah.
messing up your name. He's asking he has to forge a ring. I mean, he says he has to forge a ring in season 3. I kind of agree and disagree at the same time. I mean, it depends on the pacing that they go with because they could do a million different things, like we said. Um, I could see it being a very good ending, or like him starting to like hammer in Mount Doom, and then you see it, and then like season 4 starts off with him already having crafted, not a huge time jump, but not a small one either. I don't see it just happening like randomly in the middle of the season. I can see him getting captured though in the middle of the season to have like a bit of a, not plot twist, but like a way of changing those two things. And also one thing that we haven't mentioned is like them building the evil churches and stuff. That's also going to
mm,
be quite important to see how and where that's gonna lead. Because yeah,
yeah, that's going to be a dark part of Middle Earth history. Seeing that if they follow the book there. uh, yeah. So we talked about some theories for season 3. Um, Maybe what we can do to move on slightly is what are we most looking forward to for this series? Um, is there an event you're waiting to see depicted that you've been waiting a long time to see? Is there invented characters that you're kind of intrigued about their storyline and seeing where they're going? Like, what are you most looking forward to?
I have my answer, but I cannot say it. I'm main character syndrome and all that. But beside that event, I think the Forging of the Ring should be a very badass thing because they portrayed it in like Harry's showing right now. They portrayed it somewhat in the Fellowship of the Ring, and it's like pretty brief because it's barely a few seconds, few frames. But they should really show like all the malice and evil and how intricate that whole thing is because it's not just any ring. It's not no small feature. So it should really be something where you can see also his the way that he can craft it. And now I forgot the name of my fellow Valar, but the Aule, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Owl, yeah.
Yeah, he has been part of Aule's crew for a while as well in the past in the lore. So you should see that entire thing. I mean, we've seen it partially in season 1, right, when he started doing the swords, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's done so well," blah blah. But that should be like nothing compared to him crafting and forging their one ring. So yeah, I would say those are the biggest events that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, with the final battle that's gonna be in the last season, clearly, because that's the biggest selling point so far. But yeah, I would say that.
And the Peter Jackson version there, you see Sauron holding a dagger, and he used, theorized that he used
Mm-hmm.
his blood to craft the ring, and we kind of got that in season 2. Sauron used his blood to craft the
The
rings.
Nine Rings.
That's so it'd be really cool to see some more of that and that crafting of the One Ring and the malice, like you mentioned. I hope, based on what we saw with like the end of season 1 with Charlie Vickers' portrayal of like being like super upset with Galadriel when he was inside her mind. Oh, I can only imagine what's in store for us for later seasons. And it sounds like Omo, you have to pop out. So, do you have any final words?
Yeah, the waters need me. They need my attention right now. There's been like a few fish let loose, so I need to take care of that. But thanks everyone for the stream. I appreciate everyone that's showing up. I see that we're at 740 people already. That's absolutely incredible. And
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
I'm stoked to share the panel as always with Shiv and the one man that has no home, but apparently does have a home. So kind of a fraud. And obviously also Harry. Thank you guys, and take care.
Yeah,
Take care, man.
it was
Bye
great
bye.
having you. Bye. And on that note, we have only a couple more topics, so we're towards the tail end of this now. So I guess I'll push it to you, Strider, if you have any like final thoughts on Rings of Power before we move on. Like anything we didn't cover that you want to mention?
Yeah, I mean, this question of like what I'm looking forward to, I think actually Hitsimo is here. He has a very good. That's actually I think an underrated moment that I would not have thought of. But actually, yeah, that is a fantastic moment. Like imagine this, like you have Charlie Wicker's Sauron angrily making his own ring and
Yeah.
in the fires of Mount Doom. And like there's so much potential for a ridiculous level of pure epicness in this scene that's actually wild. Like he's doing this, and then once he creates it and puts it on, as he says the words, the ring poem, the one ring to rule them all, one ring to find them all, and one ring to bring them all in the darkness, bind them. And then we will see the three elvish characters. We will see Gil-galad, Galadriel, and Celeborn, Elrond, or actually no, I guess Círdan actually would be carrying it. Sorry, it is so Gil-galad, Círdan, and Galadriel, and to see their reactions. So like you're in that moment in the extended editions where when Gandalf chants the poem in Rivendell, like imagine an equivalent of this, but like across Middle Earth, where you can have this like insane thing happening, and the elves feeling it, and hearing it. I think they hear his voice.
Yeah.
That could be such an amazing scene. So for sure, but I think um, to add to that, and Harry is with us as well. I mean, yeah, all of the thing that happens to Numenor, Battle of the Last Alliance. The one thing that we have no idea what's going to happen with. Yeah, I think Hitsumi says showrunner said it will be an earth-shaking moment. I think it will probably be an earth-shattering moment. Shattering moment. The fact that we don't know where the Casa Doom storyline is going, I feel like the fall of Casa Doom happens actually way later. Like it happens in the middle of the Third Age. It happens way, way, way later than the story of the show. However, what if it does happen during the show, and Casa Doom falls during the show? Like, there's not a like the fact that it will be lore breaking is what it is one matter, and I'm not a fan. However, on the other hand, we will never get to see the fall of Casa Doom put on screen properly, like full on the event of the fall of Casa Doom for who knows how many years, maybe ever. And the fact that actually this show could do it, so it's like I'm kind of almost willing to be like, yeah, fine, mess up the lore, like move it 2,000 years or whatever forward, but to show us this event on screen, that would be wild as well. And I think that's something that, yeah, who knows if we'll see. But I think if we did end up seeing it, I think it will be a pretty cool thing to do.
It's a great point. Yeah, I totally agree. It's like if we have the opportunity to see something depicted, and yeah, maybe the timelines don't line up, it's like I'd rather get something than nothing. So I would be on board too, especially if it makes sense with the story arc, the narrative, and all that. Like that's the most important piece of the show is making sure like it's entertaining and all that. So yeah, Harry, do you have any points on Rings of Power before we move on?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. First of all, hello everybody, and I think the thing I'm looking most forward to, I think, was going to be the establishment of Rivendell, which is I guess now is kind of really happening. So I think the next thing would be potentially it's quite different to what everyone else said. The establishment of Arnor and Gondor. I think seeing 'cause I think when reading the Lord of the Rings and seeing, the movies as well, seeing the lineage and history of those kingdoms, I think would give really good context. And I feel like something that the showrunners do really want to go to. So yeah, definitely seeing the foundations of Arno and Gondor, and then seeing how that leads into the Last Alliance. Something really far down the line. So I think immediately, I think going into season 3, as everyone's mentioned, I'd say Glorfindel alongside Celeborn. I think that'd be two main things, and seeing how they approach Sauron getting captured at the end at the Battle of the Gothelo, if they will show it as the Battle of the Gothelo, and him being then sent to Numenor. Will he willingly go, or will he, wait and almost manipulate them? Because in how Tolkien wrote it, he willingly goes down. Pharazôn takes him, thinks he's gotten this big win, but in reality, that might not be the case because it ends up not being the case. But the issue here you have with the way the showrunners have done it, maybe not issue, but I think they've had to now encounter is that. So if in the same season you forge the One Ring, which is like the best, biggest power tool that Sauron's created ever for himself, why would you then, within 4 or 5 episodes, relinquish yourself and give everything up and go to Numenor after creating like this weapon of power for yourself? So I feel like that's a little issue. I think I'll be not excited, but intrigued to see how they're going to tackle that dilemma. So yeah, that's the one thing I'm most looking forward to, is how they're going to tackle having someone create the One Ring, but also go to Numenor. How would they explain that? So yeah, that's why there's a few things. I know I've darted all over the place, but yeah, those are the few things that I've excited for.
Yeah, it's great points. It's so many things to look forward to, I guess is the way to put it. Is we got a lot coming up and a lot to look forward to. So yeah, I agree. So now if we were to move on, the next thing we wanted to mention is just if you haven't noticed, War of the Rohirrim is now streaming on Max. So if you didn't have the opportunity to go to the theater and watch it, if you subscribe to Max or if you have any kind of platform where you can rent it or buy it, it's available now. And me personally, I had the opportunity to go to a local theater and watch it, and it was definitely a pretty good experience. Like the sound design was amazing. I think we've done panels on it, so I don't need to rehash that. But just wanted to mention, like, if you have Max, watch it. It's definitely worth a watch and gives you a bit of more backstory on the Rohirrim and Rohan itself. So recommend. Ed, does anyone have any thoughts on Rohirrim? I know we kind of hashed that out already, but just in case anything new come up. Any rewatches?
I still haven't seen it again since when we watched it the first time. So I'll see how it's like on streaming and see how that, I've heard actually it's doing quite well numbers wise on streaming compared to the box office. And maybe I know the whole anime and the cinemas hasn't really worked out for Warner Brothers, but maybe this could open the door for having anime going straight to to streaming. For example, The Witcher's done that with Netflix, and I feel like a few others. So that could be a possibility. But I think, as I was mentioned on the chat, the final point, I think, is what the bigger discussion is regarding how Warner Brothers and everyone, Peter Jackson, the whole team's approaching Gollum.
Yeah. So we have the hunt for Gollum to look forward to next. I believe sorry.
But of course, there is a caveat with that, isn't there?
There's a caveat,
which is that has been delayed a year from 2026 to 2027. So originally, Andy Serkis in I think during a Comic-Con panel recently, and we can pull up the full thing, has confirmed that the Hunt for Gollum has been delayed a whole year from 2026 to 2027. So this was expected because I feel like I believe they are still in early script stages here. So yep, as you can see, so originally slated for December 2026 has been moved. So I can also tell, I don't think it's been announced yet, but Andy Serkis is also working on another film. So that's another reason why this got delayed. So I think they were taking a bit of a while to get the pre-production set up for Hunt for the Gollum and Hunt for Gollum, sorry. And now I think it'll get announced soon in the next few weeks or month that Andy Serkis is now a director for a new film that's going to start filming later this year. So that is also another reason. So, yep. I guess Shiv, is this your first time hearing this news?
Yeah, I guess I missed that, so that's depressing. We have to wait another year. But rather
Yeah.
have a good product than have it rushed. So I'm always on a
Mhm.
fan for delaying to
Yes.
make things better. Yeah.
Fair enough. And Strider, what's your thoughts?
I mean, exactly that. I really thought when they announced it, I was honestly shocked that they were targeting December 2026. Like, when? How do you mean to do this? Like, you know, the movies, the original trilogy was such a huge thing, in huge part thanks to the fact they had pre-production for ages, for like several years before they even rolled like before they did the first shot. So yeah, I think this is. I mean, it's sad. Obviously, it was like, oh my god, please, yeah, do this. Cast Vigo, cast Ian McKellen, get everybody back, and give it to me, please. The movie in 2 years, please. That would be fantastic. Thank you. But yeah, it's like this doesn't feel very realistic, and this makes sense. And honestly,
Yeah.
let's just wait one more year and get a proper, well done, well made movie.
Yeah.
Especially because also like one of the things that are with were the issues with World of Him was that also it was in some ways kind of fast tracked, and it kind of showed in some ways. So, where there was a good quote: "The crawling
Yeah.
chaos delays just a bit more time. Suck is forever." By Gabe Newell. I do not know who this is, but this is a very accurate quote. And yeah, like, wait a bit and then do the proper thing, or risk having it be a failure. Like, I think the choice is clear. So yeah,
Definitely.
makes sense.
And I'm happy they've come out quite early and now confirmed this. I feel like
Also this.
a lot of the time, the only reason this news got out so early was because, of course, everything going on with Warner Brothers and Embracer, both not doing the best at the moment financially and company-wise, corporate-wise. So it was mainly talks to investors to get investors on board to be like, oh yes, we're going to get this movie out in 2 years, when everybody knew that it would not take 2 years. But in an investor meeting, investor talk, stakeholders all in play, they have to try and yeah, we'll get this early. So once everything got settled with that, they can now be like, yes, it's actually going to take an extra year to that as well. So yeah, it's just general corporate company, it is how I guess it's just business. I feel like that's all it is. And yes, art hopefully comes up on top of that, because we do get an extra year, which is very, very much exciting.
And one thing that's pretty interesting, like it's not official, I guess, but IMDb right now has for writing credits for Hunt for Gollum as Philippa Boyens, Phoebe Giddens, Artie, and Fran Walsh from the original, and then Artie and Phoebe were from War of the Rohirrim as the writing team. So it's pretty cool if that ends up being the case, that we're getting the original writers and the writers for War of the Rohirrim on this movie. So be really
Yeah,
cool to
I
see.
think especially if um, all four take an active role, because I feel like it could be like the proper mix of the experience. Because I mean, we have 2 out of 3 people here who have won. I believe they have won Oscar, at least one Oscar for the screenplay. Like, the 2 out of 3 people, the third person being Peter Jackson, who were like the people who brought. Yeah, look at that. Philippa Boyens and Fran Walsh. They were the part of the trio that was literally the most important people for the Lord of the Rings movies. So the fact, like, if there was all of them together, this could be like, okay, new ideas, fresh takes, plus the proper experience of adapting Tolkien's works onto big screen. This feels like I hope that all four are actually completely active on this, that they will actually be all working on it, and it's not just like a famous name tag to just get more attention to it. Which it doesn't feel like it. I think that's pretty good. That's really good news. and it's good that they will have time to. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully we can get a little bit
And
worked in there as well.
and as you can see from this post from Artie from I think 30 weeks ago, him, Andy Serkis, Philippa, a few others there as well at Hobbiton. So it looks like that could have potentially been a little meeting catch up for Hunt for Gollum. So to show, yeah, at least, yeah, that kind of confirms that maybe potentially Artie is involved as well. So I also never released our interview with Artie and Phoebe Gittins. I think we were saving that for when War of the Rohirrim comes on streaming. So now that it is, we can drop that very soon as well. If you guys want to see that, I had a good conversation with both of them. Really got into the writing and the whole movie itself, the film itself. So yeah, we'll release that very soon as well. So yeah, I think that's the news on War of the for the Hunt for Gollum at the moment, which is still also a working title as well.
Yeah, great. And I think we covered about everything we were wanting to touch upon today. So definitely, if anyone has any ideas what they would like us to cover in the meantime, because we have a bit of downtime before season 3 comes out and the next movie comes out. So if you have any topic you would love us to cover, definitely let us know in the chat below. Join our Discord. We're constantly having conversations in there of different IPs other than Lord of the Rings as well. But yeah,
the link to join's in the description for Discord as well.
Perfect. I don't know. Just kind of look at some of these closing comments here, see if anyone has anything.
That John Howe interview. Oh my god, that was. I think that was straight. I think that was before. I think even you joined. That was, had a lovely discussion.
Yeah, I was like, "What, John Howe interview? What the hell?"
Yeah.
I have not been updated on this.
So me and John Howe did like a written interview, and then I think Amazon. I think I asked a bit too much about Numenor. This is before. This is like in 2020, late 2020, and I was asking a lot about Numenor. So the interview got shelved. So because I knew at the time I am being very cheeky. Because I was like, I'm not going to talk about Rings of Power Tour. I'm just going to talk about Numenor to you for like about an hour. And then, that was probably like, that's when I was like probably like 16, 17 at the time. So I thought I was being really clever, trying to get away with it. And then, we both luckily, and this was right after the whole, Tom Shippey thing happened where he accidentally leaked a bunch of stuff during an interview. So but remember, maybe one day, maybe we'll get John Howe back on one day. So that's just a little context. For that, I'm so surprised you remember that though. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Fitzimovic has been here for a while. I'm impressed. Like that's wild. I did not know this, and I've been here for more than 3 years. That's crazy, dude. That's really I love that. I'm happy that you've been here for so long. Thanks.
Cool. But that was a little cool thing to end on. And Shiv, over to you, man.
Sounds good. So appreciate everyone joining us today. It's a blast to get to talk all things nerdy with you guys. Like everyone here is a huge Middle Earth fan, and other IP fans as well. So if you like what you hear, definitely follow, subscribe, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And so Strider, any final words for the audience?
Yeah, I'm curious actually. What are the numbers at the moment? Like, how many people do we have on?
I think on Twitter we have about 700. For YouTube we have about 45. So
we had and we had like even 70 people at some point here.
We had peaked at 70 on YouTube.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. I just want to say like it's been a while since we did one of these. As Shiv said in the opening, like the start of the year has just been a lot, like in personal lives, because we obviously do this on a volunteer basis, just hanging out and doing stuff when we can together. So it took a while to get together for the stream, but we are glad we did it, and thank you so much for everybody who tuned in. Like those are huge numbers, and it's honestly like Twitter is just always a constant. So thanks to everybody who tunes in from there. I assume you might like the fact that we will soon have a proper presence on Spotify and some other related platforms. So yeah, we're gonna make it a bit even easier for you to tune in. Yeah, just thanks to everybody, and a huge thanks to Shiv for hosting. Huge thank you to Harry, who did the thumbnail photo and did all the backend stuff, and of course for Ulmo for doing all the things that he does for us all the time, doing all the editing and all of that. And it was him that kind of inspired us into doing this stream. So special thanks for that. And yeah, it's been great. I'm very happy we managed to do this. So yeah, thanks to everybody.
And we're going to stay consistent as well. We're going to try to stay consistent now as well, building off this. So yeah, thank you guys.
Perfect.
And also, sorry, one more quick one for all the people in the chat. Like, there's so many people that keep coming back, and like we haven't been on, as I said, for a while. And like Otaku Senpai, Hichimoich, Priscilla was back. A couple of new friends like Crawling Chaos. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing like Storyteller, and there's like a bunch of people. So yeah, also huge special thanks to all the regulars. And yeah, if you haven't already, maybe like the video, that tends to help. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, sorry, Shiv, you can.
Thank you, Strider, and once again, thank you, Harry, for doing all the back end tonight and covering for us. Greatly appreciated. Omo, thanks for joining the chat as well and being there for us and inspiring us. And thanks everyone for joining. And we'll hopefully be back very soon with the next video. So just want to say thanks again, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye.